Hi, everybody. My name is Brew. I'm the founder of Empowered for Balance. I'm a certified wellness coach, a certified women's empowerment coach, and a life balance strategist. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the 4 pillars of having a balanced life. Or if I'll put it, I'm talking about the 4 keys to a balanced life. These are the 4 pillars that I usually work on with my clients, and I see tremendous, improvement in their level of stress, their level of burnout, and how balanced they feel internally and externally. And I believe that, these 4 pillars or these 4 keys will equip you with what you need to start your journey from burnout to a life of balance, fulfillment, and productivity. Hey, before we go on, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that every week when we upload new episodes, you can get the notification, and then that way you don't miss out on any of the resources we come your way with. So these 4 pillars, okay, I believe are very, very important if you want to live a life of balance. Or I call them the burnout to balance blueprint, or the pillars of life balance. All right. And the first pillar to a balanced life is self-care. I'm sure you all guessed I was going to talk about self-care. Self-care is very, very important. It's non-negotiable. If you want to shift from that life of overwhelm, stress, burnout, inner turmoil, you want to start that journey with self-care. Self-care is very, very important. And usually when I talk about self-care, I say I'm not talking about the luxury. Luxury self-care is good. That's high top-notch self-care. Everything that we have in this world, we have the top-notch, which is expensive. But I am not even talking about self-care that involves money. I am talking about self-care, which is doing everyday things to refill yourself up. And usually, in my book, Self-Care Made Easy, I talked about the drains and fillers self-care. That's the simplest way of self-care I can talk about here, since we don't have a lot of time. So I always say that whatever activities that you engage in as a woman either fills you up or drains you of some form of energy. And when I talk about energy, I'm not just talking about physical energy. I'm talking about spiritual energy, mental energy, emotional energy, social energy. Anything that takes something away from you is something that drains you of energy. So after you engage in it, you feel like you have used up what you had in you, your reserves. And anything that you do that fills you up is something that is your filler, okay? And it's different for everybody because every woman is different. We're all different, right? So sit down and identify what does my schedule look like, from Monday to Sunday. What does my schedule look like? Which of these activities drain me and which of these activities fill me up? Usually when my clients show up in my coaching, they usually show up with a very full schedule, full of activities that just drain them, with very few activities that fill them up. So the simplest way, to engage in self-care is to make sure that you are filling your schedule with activities that fill you up. And these have to be very intentional, because if not, it never happens. All right. So fill your schedule with activities that fill you up. Ask yourself, what are the activities I want to engage in to fill me up? And deliberately fit them into your schedule, into those loopholes, and prioritize them, because it's very important. Your self-care is the first pillar to living a balanced, fulfilled, burnout-free life. All right. If you think that you want to, do self-care, but you don't even know where to start from, buy my book, Self-Care Made Easy. It walks you right into how you can start, implementing self-care into your life. Number two is boundaries. Boundaries are very important. I'm sure you hear me talk a lot about boundaries. They're non-negotiable. We all have them. They are the invisible borders, or the invisible things in us that draw the line between us feeling drained or overstretched and not feeling overstretched. So I always say, in order to identify what your boundaries are, just ask yourself the simple question of how far is too far for me? How far is too far physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually? How far of something can I take without feeling overstretched, without feeling drained, without feeling like I have crossed the line? And when you ask yourself this question, it helps you identify those invisible borders or invisible barriers, even before you're faced with an issue that that is bound to cross your boundary. And the thing is that a lot of times we women don't have boundaries. We don't um, set those boundaries. And usually by the time we realize our boundaries have been crossed, even before we even notice that the boundary is getting crossed. So you need to do this inner work and ask yourself and create those boundaries for you. And when you have your boundaries in place, it's a lot easier for you to say no to things that you know are going to overstretch you, because the things that you say yes to, which overstretch you, are the things that end up creating that sense of overwhelm and sense of feeling overstretched and sense of feeling like the whole world is gonna cave in on you. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have your boundaries in place. Ask yourself, how far is too far for you? The third pillar to a balanced life is delegation. Delegation is very, very important. And for me, I believe that we women usually have a hard time to delegate because sometimes it's culture. Sometimes it's because we don't trust people to do things the way we expect it to be done. So in our work, in our home life, in our family life, in our personal life, in even our careers, we want to make sure that we are delegating activities that help, free our time up, because there's only so much time you have. And if you're going to try to do everything by yourself, you're never going to get things done. And I always say, when you delegate, you're able to even perform to your optimum level because you're able to give out certain things to certain people to take care of it for you. And in that way, you can free up time to do more things. So delegation is non-negotiable. If you want to have that kind of sense of inner peace and inner balance and feel like you're not overstretched and feel like you are in that place where you're pretty zen, then delegation. Ask for help. Don't be afraid to accept help. And asking for help or seeking help or accepting help doesn't mean that you are a lazy person or doesn't mean that you have failed. It rather helps you get what you need and get the support that you need so that you can achieve bigger things and so that you don't feel overstretched. All right. So delegation. All right. So the fourth pillar to a balanced and fulfilling life is to build a balanced self-esteem. And when I talk about self-esteem, I'm talking about the value that you place on yourself as a woman. Okay. When you have that inner self or a positive self-esteem, it goes a long way to affect how much you people please, how much you take on things that you're not supposed to take, how much you say yes to things you're not supposed to say yes to, how you allow people to treat you, and how you treat your own self. Because if your self-value and your self-esteem is not in the right place, you wouldn't want to invest in your own wellness and you wouldn't want to invest in your own health. So a lot of times clients show up in my workplace and, we go through the four pillars of life balance, we do everything we're supposed to do. And a lot of times it's like they just can't make that investment in themselves, even giving themselves 5 minutes for themselves. They're busy doing everything for everybody else, even for their possessions, cleaning their house, cleaning their cars, taking care of their kids, doing everything for everything else, all their possessions, everything they own and all the people in their lives, but they just can't make time for themselves. And usually when we dig deep and we zone in on why it's so hard for them to make time for themselves and invest in their well-being, usually what we find out is that it's because they have a low self-esteem or they're not placing enough value on themselves and their well-being. So your self-esteem is very important, because when you build up your self-esteem to the place where your inner confidence and your self-esteem is based on what is in you as a person and who God says you are, and the value that is placed on you for who you are on earth and for the purpose that God has brought you on earth, you are not afraid to invest in yourself. You are not afraid to do what you need to do to be well. You're not afraid to say no if you feel like you're tired and you need to take a break, right? You're not afraid to invest in your well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, your physical well-being. You're not afraid to do it. So your self-esteem is also very, very important. All right. So in this short video, I have shared with you the 4 pillars of life balance. And the first one is self-care. The second thing is setting your boundaries. The third thing is delegation. And the fourth thing is building a balanced self-esteem. Hey, probably you're like, Alma, what you're talking about sounds very interesting. And I wish that I could implement these 4 pillars in my life. All right, but I don't even know where to start from. And I get the concept, but how do I even implement it into, my life right now? Because I don't know where to start. Right? I want to invite you to a free strategy session with me. And in this strategy session, we're going to talk about what's going on with you, what your challenges are, and what you need, to get you on the journey to becoming a balanced woman or a balanced dame. I use dame a lot. Dame is the French word for lady. So a balanced lady, right? And a journey from shifting from burnout and to a life of balance, productivity, purposefulness, and fulfillment. So go ahead and book that free session by going to www.empoweredforbalance.com/free session and get your spot right there. And that way we can talk about how we can transform your life and shift you from burnout to balance. Again, my name is Brew, your life balance strategist, and take care of yourself. See you next time. Bye.